Hello everyone and welcome to Dragon King. Today we are going to read part 2 of Captain Underpants and the Wrath of the Cafeteria Ladies from Outer Space. Before we start, I like you to mash that like and subscribe button so we can hit 100k subscribers and I can make more videos for you guys. Now let's start. Chapter 12. The Bottom of This. George and Harold crawled into the cafeteria and sneaked through the kitchen doors. There they hid behind a table while the incredibly naughty cafeteria ladies from outer space discussed their plans to take over the world. "Look at those puny earthlings," laughed George. "They're all drinking evil zombie nerd milkshakes and transforming before our very eyes." "It won't be long now," said Clax. "Tomorrow, we'll feed them super evil rapid growth juice. Then they'll grow to the size of crisp trees." "Exactly," sneered Jennifer. "Then we would unleash our giant evil zombie nerds upon the earth, and soon the planet will be ours." The three evil space guys threw back their heads and laughed hysterically. "We've got to tell Mr. Krupp about this," Harold whispered. "Right," whispered George. "But first we got to get rid of that super evil rapid growth juice." Harold carefully reached up and swiped the carton of juice. "What should we do with it?" asked Harold. "Let's pour it out the window," said George. "That way it won't do any damage." "Good idea," said Harold. While the naughty cafeteria ladies continued laughing, George quietly emptied the carton of super evil rapid growth juice out the window. "You know," whispered Harold, "Mr. Krupp's never gonna believe that sinister cafeteria ladies from outer space have turned everybody into evil zombie nerds." "Sure he'll believe us. He's got to believe us," said George. "I hope he believes us." Chapter 13. He doesn't believe them. "That is the most ridiculous story I've ever heard," laughed Mr. Krupp. "Yeah, but it's true," cried Harold. "Yeah, everybody in the entire school is an evil zombie nerd. The kids, the teachers, everybody." "All right," said Mr. Krupp. "I'll prove it to you." He pressed the button on the intercom and called for his secretary. Soon Miss Anthrop entered the room. She was dressed in a pink polka-dot polyester dress with the orthopedic knee-high stockings and ugly brown arch support loafers. "See," said Harold, "she's dressed like a nerd." "She always dresses like that," snapped Mr. Krupp. "But she's gray and clammy and reeks of freakish zombified death," cried George. "She always smells like that," Mr. Krupp argued. "She's always gray and clammy too." George and Harold had to admit that school secretaries were not very good subjects to compare and contrast with evil zombie nerds. But then Mr. Anthrop leaned over and took a huge bite out of Mr. Krupp's desk. "Must destroy Earth," she moaned as she took another bite. Even Mr. Krupp had to agree that Miss Anthrop was acting a bit more evil than usual. So George and Harold took Mr. Krupp down to the cafeteria to confront the evil lunch ladies. Suddenly, out of the shadows stepped the evil Zorks. "Gotcha!" Zorks cried as she grabbed onto Harold's shoulders. "Ha!" screamed Harold. He squirmed away, pulling Zork's gloves off and revealing two slimy tentacles. "See, Mr. Krupp," said George. "We told you they were space guys." "You fools!" screamed Zork. "Now we will destroy you." The evil Zorks pointed his tentacle at George, Harold, and Mr. Krupp and snapped his fingers. Suddenly, Mr. Krupp began to change. A heroic grin spread across Mr. Krupp's face. He threw out his chest and placed his fist firmly at his sides, looking quite triumphant. Uh-oh, said George. That evil space guy just snapped his fingers. Now Mr. Krupp is turning into you-know-who. Wait a second, said Harold. Tentacles don't have fingers. You can't snap a tentacle. There's no time to argue the physical improbabilities of the story, said George. We've got to stop Mr. Krupp from changing into Captain Underpants before it's too late. Chapter 14. It's too late. Mr. Krupp turned and dashed out the door. His clothes flew off behind him as the hallways echoed with jubilant proclamations about the superiority of underwear. George and Harold dashed after him, but the door was quickly blocked by Zorks, Clax, and Jennifer. You want to get out of this kitchen? The evil Jennifer mocked. You gotta go through us. George grabbed a rolling pin. Harold grabbed a cast iron frying pan. I sure hope we don't have to resort to incredibly graphic violence, said Harold. Me too, said George. Chapter 16. The Assault of the Equally Evil Lunchroom Zombie Nerds. George and Harold had barely caught their breath when Captain Underpants finally showed up. Tra-la-la, he said. I'm here to fight for truth, justice, and all that is pre-shrunken cottony. Where were you back in Chapter 15 when we needed you? Asked George. I was at the shoe store ordering a cheeseburger, cried Captain Underpants. While the three heroes were talking, nobody noticed that Zork, Clax, and Jennifer had slithered away. The wounded space guys approached the lunchroom loudspeakers and called for the evil zombie nerds. Zombie nerds, instructed Jennifer. Destroy Captain Underpants and his little friends too. Soon, every evil zombie nerd in the entire school put down their Omni magazines and headed for the cafeteria. Must destroy Underpants, they groaned. Must destroy Underpants. Suddenly, our three heroes were surrounded by evil, vicious zombie nerds. Closer and closer they came. Oh no, cried George. What do we do? To the underwear cave, shouted Captain Underpants. There is no underwear cave, said Harold. Really? Said Captain Underpants. Well, let's just climb up that ladder instead. George, Harold, and Captain Underpants scurried up the ladder, and soon they were all on the roof. Well, we're safe now, said Harold. Yep, said George. That's for sure, said Captain Underpants. They're all facing that way. There's something here and something there. Chapter 17. Oh yeah. It didn't take long before George, Harold, and Captain Underpants looked behind them. Hey, said Harold. What's that big spaceship thingy doing on the roof of the school? And where did that super evil rapidly growing dandelion come from? Asked Captain Underpants. George and Harold gasped. They looked at each other with a sudden panicked realization that only children who have accidentally created a giant mutated garden nuisance would know. Stammered George. We have no idea how that happened. Yeah, said Harold. Absolutely no idea at all. At that moment, the door to the roof swung open. Zorks poked his evil head out and shouted, We've got you now. With no place else to run, our three heroes quickly scurried up the ladder of the big spaceship thingy and closed the door behind them. Inside the spaceship, George, Harold, and Captain Underpants discovered a refrigerator filled with strange juices. Look, said George, there's a carton of anti-evil zombie nerd juice. How convenient. And look at this, said Harold, a carton of ultra-nasty self-destruct juice. Now this could come in handy. And look what I found, said Captain Underpants, a whole carton of extra-strength superpower juice. Hey, give me that, said George, snapping the curtain of Captain Underpants' hands. Chapter 18. Space Slaves. Suddenly, the door to the spaceship swung open, and the three evil space guys slithered inside. "Step away from the refrigerator," screamed Jennifer, "and get into that jail cell." George and Harold hid their juice cartons behind their backs, and our three heroes quickly stepped into the jail cell. Zork started up the engines, and the spaceship lifted up. It rose a few hundred feet in the air and hovered over the school. "You three puny earthlings are very fortunate," said Jennifer. "You will get to witness the destruction of your planet from the safety of your jail cell. Afterward, you will have the honor of being our obedient space slaves." "Aw, man," said George and Harold. "Quickly, Clax," said Jennifer. "Get me a carton of super evil rapid growth juice from the refrigerator. We can pour it into the spray gun and shower it upon our evil zombie nerds." Chapter 19. The Big Switcheroo. Clax returned with the carton of super evil rapid growth juice and placed it on the control panel. "Soon," said Jennifer, "Earth will be ours." The three aliens threw back their heads and laughed and laughed. Suddenly, George got an idea. He whispered to Harold for a second or two, then quickly reached for the bars of the jail cell and swiped Clacker's carton of super evil rapid growth juice. George carefully peeled the label of the carton and stuck it over the label of his ultra nasty self-destruct juice. While he was busy doing that, Harold reached through the bars and switched the labels of spray gun and fuel tank. Finally, George reached back through the bars and put his carton of ultra nasty self-destruct juice, which now read super evil rapid growth juice, on the control panel. "I don't get it," whispered Captain Underpants. "The fuel tank now says spray gun, and the spray gun now says fuel tank, and the rapid growth juice has been replaced with self-destruct juice. What does it all mean?" "You'll find out," said Harold sadly. While the three evil space guys finished laughing triumphantly, Jennifer reached for the carton that read super evil rapid growth juice and poured it into the nozzle that read spray gun. "Oh, I get it," said Captain Underpants. "That space guy didn't pour growth juice into the spray gun. He poured self-destruct juice into the fuel tank." "Yep," George said sadly. "And that means the spaceship thingy is going to explode into millions of pieces." "Right," said Harold gloomily. The spaceship began to sputter and shake as smoke billowed out of the control panels. Soon sparks were flying and ceiling tiles were falling. Captain Underpants smiled proudly because he had figured out George and Harold's plan, but his smile didn't last long. "Hey," he cried, "we're in the spaceship thingy. What's going to happen to us?" "We have to sacrifice ourselves to save the world," said Harold. "I'm afraid we're not going to make it." "Of course we'll make it," cried Captain Underpants. "We got Wedgie power on our side." Chapter 10. The Great Escape. Captain Underpants grabbed a roll of toilet paper from his jail cell laboratory. "We can swing to safety on this," he cried. "You can't swing on toilet paper," said Harold. "Sure I can," said Captain Underpants. "I did it in my last comic book." Captain Underpants opened the jail cell window and tossed the toilet paper onto a tall tree below them. "Come on, fellas. Let's swing out of here before the spaceship explodes." That toilet paper won't hold you," said George. "It's not strong enough." "Sure it is," said Captain Underpants. "It's 2-ply. But suddenly, Captain Underpants' red polyester cape opened up like a parachute. Thoop! George, Harold, and the Wishband Warrior floated down safely as the spaceship above them exploded. Kaboom! Hallelujah! Cried Harold. We're not gonna die! We're not gonna die! Or, said Harold. George, maybe we are. Chapter 21. The Deliriously Dangerous Death-Defying Dandelion of Doom. George and Harold and Captain Underpants floated downward directly into the waiting jaws of the Dandelion of Doom. Aw, man, cried Harold. We could have gotten killed in a cool exploding spaceship, but instead we're gonna get eaten by a dandelion. How humiliating. Yeah, George moaned. People are gonna be giggling at our funerals. The dandelion munched Captain Underpants, and the boys flew off and landed on the roof of the school. What should we do? Cried Harold. I got an idea, said George. It's a bad idea, and I know we're gonna regret it, but I got to act fast. The fate of the entire planet is on our hands. The next time the giant evil dandelion lurched toward the boys, George poured some extra strength superpower juice into Captain Underpants' mouth. What do you think is going to happen now? I don't know, said George. So Harold mixed up a batch of anti-evil zombie nerd root beer and ordered everybody in the school to drink some. The evil zombie nerds lined up. Must drink root beer, they moaned. Must drink root beer. When the last zombie nerd had swallowed his last sip of root beer, George ordered Captain Underpants to get dressed back up like Mr. Croc. But I'll lose my superpowers if I put on clothing, said Captain Underpants. The power of underwear must be, just put on the clothes, Bob, George instructed. Captain Underpants did as he was told, and then George poured water over the hero's head. Now all we can do is wait, said Harold. Wait and hope that everybody returns to normal. Chapter 24. To make a long story short. They did. Because from that day on, whenever he heard the sounds of finger snapping, Mr. Crop not only turned back into you-know-who, but he also had extra strength superpowers. And if you thought it was hard for George and Harold to keep up with them before, well, you haven't seen nothing yet. And that is it for part 2 of Captain Underpants and the Wicked Cafeteria Ladies from Outer Space. If you enjoyed the channel, please comment your favorite book in the comments below. And thank you for watching. See you in the next video.